Hi guys, welcome to video 13 and potentially the last video for our instructional series for SSG Online. Today, Tori and I are going to be covering press to handstands for you. So we have some stretches for you guys to cover just before we get into our presses today. Make sure you warm up before you start doing these stretches. And the stretches we are doing are very specific to press to handstand, and you'll find that if you are a bit more flexible, you can rely on your flexibility to get your press to handstand a little bit more than just strengthening and pushing your way all the way up to handstand. So quick stretch program for you guys before we get into our presses. So for our stretches, guys, we're going to start legs apart and we're just going to reach forward or down to our feet. Little bounces first if you haven't warmed up fully yet. And swapping to the other side. In the middle now, between our legs. And swinging with our shoulders. Legs together. Reaching back. Hands on the floor, you can bend and straighten your knees. And sitting down. In our straddle position, nice and wide. We're going to reach forward, chest to the floor. And one side. And switch. And stretching our wrists as well. Make sure your wrists are really warmed up today, guys, because they're going to be stretched a little bit more than you normally would do for handstands, because you have to lean over just a little bit to get your press today. And bring fingers back, arms straight. And swap. And reaching across. Switch. And last one, pike with feet pointed first. And feet flexed. Let's get started. Okay, so the first load of drills that we have here for your press to handstand are all about understanding the action of how to get into your handstand or inverted position. So what to think about when you are going is that you want to lift your hips up over your hands first, and then your legs are going to follow later, depending on whichever position you want to do for your press, being tuck, straddle, or pike. Okay, so it's always hips up, and then your legs will follow. So the first load of exercise is just about getting that down. So what we're going to do first, we're just going to do some little preparation or strength that might switch on the muscles that you're going to use later. So we're just going to do 10 leg lifts in this position. When you are doing this, make sure your hands aren't right next to your hips, reach a little bit forward. So if you can, try to get flat hands past your knees. So 10 on one side, switch to the other side when you're done. You can, legs straight. Don't worry too much now about having wide legs. And then 10 in the middle, so in line with your knees as well, both hands flat, picking your legs up. If you need to, of course, start with your hands a little bit closer as you're developing the skill. And once you've done 10, we're going to rock back. You can do a straddle rock or a tuck rock, and then as you rock forward, you want to rock onto your hands and push and just hold for as long as you can. If you can for just half a second, that's fine. And then you go back into your rock again. So each time, you're thinking about pushing the floor away and lifting your feet up. Another thing you can think about is at the very top of the support, pushing shoulders down so you can create more space between your legs and the floor compared to here and here. Okay, let's go legs together. Same thing, hands next to knees and then lifting feet up. And we'll do 5 rocks to a pike hold position here as well. If you can't lift your feet up, you can put your feet down, but finishing in a raised position for your support. So the first drill we're going to do for our press to handstands is we're just going to do our tuck or straddle handstand against the wall. So if you are a bit more flexible, you might find the straddle variation a bit easier. If you're not quite as flexible, you can work on your tuck for now. So whichever variation you want to do, you can do a straddle like Tori's doing now, or you can do your tuck. And the only concept we're thinking about for now is just getting used to getting your hips over your hands, so you know this position when you start trying to lift your hips up when we do our presses later. So you can hold this for 20 seconds when you're practicing this, just thinking about hips over. Okay, so the next drill we're going to do is a bunny hop, or tuck bunny hop, or straddle bunny hop, again, whichever variation you're working on. So if you are doing tuck, you can start with in a tuck squat position, so hands on the floor, and we're just getting the action from going upright into lifting your hips up. If you can get all the way to vertical, that's the goal. If not, just build your confidence with how high you can lift your hips. If you're doing straddles, you can start in this position as well, or you can start with your legs straddled. And it might be a bit easier for you to think about going out with your legs and hips up. So our next drill, we're going to start getting the action a little bit more now. So depending what you have at home, you can either put your feet on a yoga ball, starting in front support position, and then from here, you're going to push down on the floor, lifting your hips up in the air. If you don't have a yoga ball, what you can do is if you have a slippery surface, put some socks on. And starting in front support again, same deal, you can either push down, lifting your hips up, or you can also just walk your feet in as an easier variation. But as your feet are coming in, your hips are coming up, and then back down. You can also do the straddle if you have this on the floor as well. You just have to go out with your legs, we just can't fit on this box. So the next variation, we're basically going to do the press action but while on our elbows. So what you're going to do is you're going to link your fingers, and then you're going to cup the back of your head, and you want like a slight V with your elbows. So you're going to go into this position. We're going to use the wall just as a safety. I don't want you to lean against the wall as you're going up. It's just in case you go over, you can stop yourself using the wall. So here, you're going to walk your feet in as much as you can. I don't want you to jump from this position. It's all about getting used to pushing down, and how that action of pushing down with your elbows for now is going to be from our hands later, is going to raise your hips up. So you can do this tuck. If you're going to do this straddle, one thing to think about with the direction that your legs go once your hips are up. So if your hips are here, when you start lifting your legs, you want to go as wide as you can and around on the way up to handstand. So the wider you can get, the lighter it will actually feel as you're pushing down into handstand. So last drill we're going to do to understand our press action is a kick to handstand, and we're going to lower down in the opposite direction that you're going to do for your press to handstand. So we're going to do the negative action. So when you kick to handstand, if you're not comfortable with holding handstand yet, you can do it against the wall, and then on the way down, slowly lowering legs out first, and then you're going to lower your feet down to the floor with your hips over your hands. Nice story. So you can do this in tuck or pike or whichever variation you want to do for your press. So this next section, or this next load of drills that we're going to work on, are specifically for developing strength for our press to handstand. So the press to handstand is the strength skill, so it might take some time to develop your strength in these positions, but that's the point of these skills. There are a lot of exercises here, so you don't feel like you have to work through all of them, just work through the ones that are appropriate for your ability. So the first load of exercises we're going to do is just introducing a bit of strength work in our inverted position. So we're going to start in an L. If you can here, we're going to do some L push-ups, so bending your arms and pushing back up into a straight arm position. So for our actual press to handstand later, you're not actually going to bend your arms will stay locked straight. We're just introducing, exerting some strength in this position. So after you do 2 sets of 15 of this, what you can do is shrugs in this position as well. This is a bit more relevant to our press to handstand. Each time trying to think about squeezing your ears between your shoulders, and two lots of 15 for here as well. Our next exercise is the same setup that you had before. You can either do the yoga ball or the socks on a slippery surface, and in your front support position, you're going to lean your shoulders forward over your hands and then use your shoulder muscles to push back into your front support position. So you're going to rock forward, push back. As you get a bit stronger, you can lean a little bit more forward and pushing back, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do 10 of these at a time, and we'll do this for 2 sets as well. Another option you can do if you have a resistance band is if you hook it on whatever you have at home. And in this position here, just a slight bend forwards, and you're going to try to push the band forwards, straight arms. And you can also do it in this direction as well. You can either do 2 arms at once or just 1 arm, so holding here, and then you're trying to push. Try to get those arms so that your hand to your hips is in one straight line, so not here. Here, above your head, and you can do 15 at a time as well, 2 for each set. What we're going to do next is back into our hands and feet on the floor position. And what we're going to do here is you're going to lean your shoulders a little bit forward, so carrying the weight on your arms, and then you're going to try touch your wrists with your toes. You can go 1 at a time as you're learning, but if you can eventually, you want to be able to go 2 toes and then come back. Now, the reason we're working on this bit is because this is actually the hardest bit of the press. So the first bit, getting your feet up off the floor, will be the hardest bit for you guys as you're learning your press. So if you can work on these ones, this might help you with that. So now we're developing the actual action of our press and the strength part as well. So what you can do when you're first learning is you can do your back against the wall for this. And what you will have is your arms will be a little bit further away from the wall. So the angle that you're pushing at is a little bit different. But when you are going, you're going to start in the same position. So shoulders against the wall, so you're already leaning forwards. Now in this position, you can hurt your wrists a little bit, so you can turn your hands around just for this drill because you're already leaning against the wall. And then when you push down, same as what we've been learning, hips come up first, then legs come together, and then back down again. So you can do this, try not to do too many in one set, but just starting to develop the strength and the action of the press together. So progressing even more now to our full press, what you can do is you can start with raised feet. So you're almost doing the full action of your press. We're just skipping that first little bit of the press that's the hardest part. So here your hands are on the floor, feet are a little bit raised, and then same thing as all the other actions, you're lifting your hips up first, and then pushing down with your shoulders and lifting your feet up to handstand. So if you can go to your full press to handstand, if you can. Good, and always trying to come back down the same way, slow as you can. That's another way that you can build your strength as well. So after you've done that, you just keep slowly lowering the size of your step until you're on the floor, and then you're trying for your full press on the floor. So if you're going for straddle, here, raising up onto your tippy toes will help. Full straddle, do that hitting the wall. And then once you do that, you can start developing for other presses as well. So your straddle press is going to be a good strength drill to eventually work towards your pike press, where your feet are together. One of the harder variations for your press. And what you can do to slowly develop your pike press is that you move your feet a little bit closer each time, so you're skipping that benefit you get from having your wide legs to your press to handstand. So thank you for watching potentially our last video, guys. If you have been following along, thanks for the support, and hopefully these videos have helped you in one way or another achieve your goals that you have for your gymnastics. So thanks, guys.
We'll see you guys in the gym.
Make friends.
Have fun!